Hey guys.
Hey everybody.
Welcome to another Travel Therapy Mentor live video. Tonight we're going to be talking about credit card rewards. This is a topic that I think for a few weeks now I've been talking about wanting to make a video on, and the reason that we've waited so long is I knew that if we started talking about it, people would ask about specific offers, which cards they should sign up for, and I wanted to have a resource to send people to instead of just like talking about each one. So we actually have a page on the website that I made yesterday with what I would recommend, and there's not any specific card for everybody. So in terms of credit card offers right now, I put 8 on there depending on what your priority is, whether it's earning free flights, cash back, if you're a beginner, or hotel point or hotel nights, things like that. So the page is at traveltherapymentor.com/credit. So check that page out, and we'll talk a little bit about credit card rewards. But if you want to sign up for any of those cards, go check out that page. Credit card rewards have been really helpful for us over the years. Every time people hear how cheaply we're able to take our long trips, like our trip to Asia, our trip to Europe, those trips are not very expensive. And the main reason for that is because of credit card rewards. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we've accumulated so many points and miles and extra cash over the years using credit cards, and some strategies you guys might be able to use as well. So Whitney's going to introduce us, and I'm going to share this video in a couple groups.
All right. Hey everybody. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. My name is Whitney Ihg.
I'm Ihg Card.
And we are both traveling doctors of physical therapy. I know a lot of you guys have tuned in the past for our videos, but in case you're new to our page, welcome. This is our Travel Therapy Mentor page, where we mentor and educate other people who are current or aspiring travel therapists. And you guys might be wondering, why are we talking about travel credit cards and credit card rewards tonight? So we definitely have an affinity for finance and that part of our industry. So we kind of talk quite often about some finance stuff too, in addition to our travel therapy topics. Normally every week we try to bring you a different topic about some kind of travel therapy information. So I know that a lot of you guys have tuned into our videos in the past, but if you're new to our page, we try to do that a little bit every week. However, sometimes we also like to talk about some other strategies outside of just your strict travel therapy information. And as Jared said, we have taken a lot of trips over the years. For you guys that have followed us in the past, you know we've been to over 30 countries. We've been to about 45 of the US states. We spend a significant amount of the year traveling. And one of the ways that we're able to do that so cheaply is by using credit card rewards. So over the years, we've gotten a lot of questions about it. Jared does write some on our personal blog called Fifth Wheel PT about credit card rewards and travel hacking, but we wanted to do an updated video kind of talking to you guys through the basics of how this works, because there are a lot of people out there who ask us these questions, and they want to know, how do you make this work in a detailed manner? Because they say, well, you know, a few different things like, well, I have one credit card, it's through my bank, and I get, 1% cash back. Is that what you're talking about? Or I have this, one card through Amazon. Is that what you're talking about? And so we kind of have to go into a little bit more detail to explain exactly how we've been able to strategize. And really, Jared's the mastermind behind this stuff. So we'll go through a little bit about that tonight. As always, if you guys are joining in with us live, we would love to hear from you. I see quite a few of you guys are on live. So we'd love if you'd say hello in the comments. We'd like to hear from you. If you are a current therapist, let us know in the comments. If you're someone who's thinking about doing travel therapy, or if you're just tuning in to strictly learn about the credit cards tonight and you don't have anything to do with therapy, we'd love to hear that too. So please say hi. I see a few people. Jeff. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Diego. Hi, Nick. Hi, Anzio. Hi, Laura. Lauren. Hey, Tim. Tim says, I just got a new card in the mail. Tim, which card did you get? Hey, Mike. Hey, Ann. Hi, Lewis. Hi, Armand. Hi, Samantha. Hi, Allie. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Brianna. And hi, Forrest. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Again, please leave us a comment, hit the thumbs up button, and then we will dive into tonight's topic.
Yeah, something pretty interesting I was just thinking about is we have never actually paid out of pocket for an international flight, which is pretty crazy. So all of our flights out of the country, I was thinking back about on the trips that we've taken. 2016, we went to Jamaica, and we actually got the flight's free, and I think it was 4 nights or 5 nights at all-inclusives.
Just more than that. I think it was like 6, because we stayed at the one resort for a few nights, and then we switched to another resort. So we basically got an all-inclusive vacation. I remember from start to finish, that whole vacation was free to Jamaica.
Yep. And then 2017, I took my brother to Aruba. That was with credit card points. 2018, we went to Asia. The flights there and back were with credit card rewards. And then 2019, was Europe, and flights were there and back were credit card rewards. And in Europe, we got 26 free hotel nights, and that was all from credit card rewards. So we've gotten a lot of value out of them over the years.
Yeah, so definitely part of the way that we're able to do as much travel as we do outside of work is the flexibility that's built into our schedules of being travel therapists. So you guys that follow us regularly already know this, but if you don't, we only work 1 or 2 travel therapy contracts a year. We started doing that in 2018. We worked 6 months and we took 6 months off. In 2019 and 2020, we really worked even less than that. Like 2019, I think we worked 3 months. And 2020, I've only worked 2 months and Jared has worked 0. So we travel quite a bit. So part of that is having that flexible schedule that travel therapy allows, but then part of it is just being able to go on the cheap, because if we were paying out of pocket for all this stuff, like we couldn't afford to just go off to Europe for 4 months. So we travel really cheap using credit card rewards. And then in terms of, we write about a lot of the other money saving ways, like using Airbnbs and just doing low cost activities. Try not to eat out as much, but a huge part of it is these points, because your flights are honestly like the biggest part of your expense if you're going to travel internationally. So it's huge that we've been able to use credit card points for that. And then a lot of hotel nights too, because sometimes, Airbnb is okay for a while, but it's really nice to stay in hotels sometimes. So when we can use hotel points, we do.
Yeah. I mean, the 2 biggest expenses when traveling internationally are always flights and hotels. And so if you can offset that cost some, that really saves you a lot of money on the trip.
Yeah.
So just a quick recap. I got into credit card rewards when I was 18. I was a weird kid. I remember being 17 and reading about credit cards that I was going to sign up for that I could get cash back on when I turned 18. So the day I turned 18, I applied for my first reward credit card. And that was like a very basic card. It was like 1% cash back, and I think I got 3% on gas. And I was all excited about that. So every time I got gas, I knew I was getting 3% back. There was no sign-up bonus, but I was really excited. So I think I got between like 18 years old and like 25 years old, I probably got like 5 or 6 cards. I wasn't really that into it, but I was still getting cash back on every purchase, which I thought was amazing. But then right around graduation from PT school is when I really started learning about how much more beneficial credit cards can be with sign-up bonuses. And that's when I got very into that. And I think between 2015 and 2016, I think I signed up for 20 new cards. And I got Whitney to sign up for probably 10 to 15 as well. So we went pretty overboard that year, and I wouldn't recommend that for almost anyone. It was a lot to keep track of, and the credit card companies keep getting tighter on their approval process, and I don't even think you could do that now. But I think the ideal thing for most people is to sign up for 2 to 4 cards a year, getting sign-up bonuses. So do you want to explain cashback for sign-up bonuses?
Yeah, I just want to go over a couple other quick things before we get into. We're going to talk about the strategies about how you guys can implement this, but I just want to give a little more background so you understand kind of why this topic is important and why we're talking about it. We are not the only ones who do this. We definitely know other travel therapists that do take some time off between contracts, and I think it's important to know that you can do this. You don't have to be crazy overboard the way that we have been. Jared keeps spreadsheets of all of our credit cards. I don't know exactly how many, but I would bet that you have had more than 50 cards, and I've probably had close to 50 cards in the last 5 years. And that's a lot, and that's crazy, and I don't think that all of you guys have to do that, but we are going to get into talking to some specifics, I can't talk tonight, about some strategies and some ways that you could implement this to make it work for your life. And we're going to talk about the different ways you can use it, whether that's for hotels or flights or whatever fits you the best. For travel therapists, if you decide to take off some time like we have between contracts, there's a lot of different ways that you could utilize this. So for one, you could use it just for flights domestically in the country. So say you choose to fly out to wherever your contract is, especially if your contract is in Hawaii or Alaska, or if it's all the way on the other side of the country. You might want to rack up some points for that. Or say that you're on contract, maybe you're from the West Coast and you're on the East Coast and you want to just fly home and fly back during your contract where you don't want to drive your car all the way across the country. Those are some really good opportunities there for you to have racked up and saved up some points over time for flights. And then hotels, always great to have if that was something you were interested in, whether it was for a vacation or while on assignment. And then I think for a lot of you guys out there, maybe right now in 2020, travel doesn't seem like the best thing for you right now to be thinking about in the future. And we're going to actually talk about how we utilize some of our points this year because travel wasn't as feasible in 2020. just straight up cash back is a good option for a lot of people. So we're going to get into talking about the strategies about how you can specifically use them for different cards. But yeah, I think we've kind of hashed out the fact that we've done it for a lot of free trips. I'd say all in all, we've probably gotten tens of thousands of dollars worth of travel over time.
I've written probably 7 or 8 articles now about credit card rewards, and like 2 of those articles were like recaps on all the bonuses that I'd gotten up till that point. And I think I stopped those maybe 2 years ago because the first few years was when I was really getting a ton of new cards and getting a bunch of bonuses. And at that point, I think I just by myself had gotten like $10,000 in cash plus thousands of dollars in free trips. So it's been a lot.
Yeah. So, bottom line, you don't have to go as crazy with it as we have, but I really think that this can be valuable information for a lot of you guys out there. And we've had a lot of people come to us and ask us, hey, Jared, which card do you recommend right now? Because I have this one, but I was thinking about trying to up my game a little bit and, travel a little bit more the way that you and Whitney have. So that's why we're talking about this tonight. So let's explain to you guys how all of this works and how you can take advantage of it the best. So what Jared alluded to is the sign-up offers. Now, I came from not knowing anything about credit cards when I was younger, except that it gets you into debt and it's a bad idea. So I was super hesitant to ever get into any credit cards. And maybe some of you guys watching this are really hesitant as well. Because I came from a family where my family had gotten into a lot of debt and a lot of trouble with credit cards. So I thought, well, why even bother with that? Like, I'll just use my debit card. I'll just spend the cash that I have in hand so I never get into debt. So it's super important to make sure that you use credit cards the right way, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so the 2 biggest concerns people usually have are paying interest and their credit score. So it's important to know, and I didn't realize this when I first started, and Whitney had no idea. I explained all this to her 5 years ago. Interest only accrues if you don't pay off the balance each month. So if you pay your statement balance every month on a card, you don't incur any interest on that card. It's just basically a free loan for a month when you purchase something. So the interest only starts to accrue if you roll a balance over months at a time. So interest is not something you have to worry about if you approach credit card rewards the right way. You pay off the statement balance every month. You only spend money that you actually have so that as soon as the balance is due, you can use money from your checking account to pay that.
Yeah.
So interest shouldn't be a concern as long as you're using credit cards intelligently.
Yep. So number 1 rule, if you're watching this video to learn more about how to use credit cards to earn points, save up, earn extra cash back, and earn for travel, you must pay your statement every month. Do not ever let a balance roll over. Only use money that you plan to use anyway. So I just use my credit cards. We just use our credit cards the way we would our debit card. So I don't ever go out and make big purchases that I wouldn't have money for in my bank account. I just use it instead of my debit card. I barely even ever touch my debit card. It just stays in my wallet. I don't use it because I'm always earning some type of points by using my credit card instead. And then I pay it more than once every month. Like, I go in my account and I just pay it every couple weeks, or you can set up auto pay to make sure that it always pays. So number 1 rule, don't carry a balance.
Yeah, auto pay is a great thing to have in place, and then so you don't have to worry about it. So if you have it linked to your bank account, it automatically pays the statement balance every month, and you're not buying things that you can't afford, then you really should never have to worry about it, which is, it just makes it very easy to earn rewards for money that you would have spent anyway. And that's the way we look at it. In terms of credit score, that's sometimes people worry about that. When you initially sign up for a card, sometimes you will have a slight drop in your credit score, and that's due to a hard inquiry on your credit report, which means that a credit card company is looking at your credit. The credit score, that's one of the small factors they use to determine your credit score. And basically, the reason they use that is if you have a bunch of different companies looking at your credit score, that means that you're probably trying to take out multiple lines of credit, which means it could be a risk, but it's only a small factor in your total credit score. Things like payments on time and your utilization ratio, which is the amount that you have on the cards compared to the total amount available, those are the 2 big factors. So you might have a slight drop, but in reality, most people, and me included, Whitney included, when you start signing up for cards, having a longer credit history, more on-time payments, and a lower utilization ratio from having a higher available credit balance can actually increase your credit score. Mm-hmm. So when I started, I think my credit score was around 780. It dropped down to like 750. That sounds scary, but remember, I signed up for 20 cards in 1 year. So any normal person, it wouldn't even drop that amount. But at this point, 5 years later, 50 plus cards later, it's higher than it was when I initially started.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have as long as your credit score is pretty decent, you shouldn't worry about that too much, a small drop from signing up for a few cards each year.
Yeah, so that's not as big of a concern as you think. And we actually have helped family members with this as well who had the same concerns, who had history of bad relationships with credit cards. And we helped them to sign up for and make sure they were paying off their balances on a handful of credit cards, 1 or 2 a year, just to earn some rewards. And their credit scores have gone up significantly too because they were making all these on-time payments, carrying a zero balance, paying it off every month. So don't be afraid of that. And as we mentioned earlier, we would recommend just start small, and we'll get into a little bit more of the weeds of those strategies. So don't worry so much about your credit score. Make sure to pay your balance off every month. The other thing we want to talk about is making sure to try to avoid annual fees if possible.
Yeah, so some cards have annual fees, some do not. A lot of the cards that do have annual fees, I would say maybe half of them, the annual fee will be waived the first year. And that's an important thing to know because there's a lot of times what I'll do is I'll sign up for a card that has a $95 annual fee that's waived the first year. I'll keep it for the first year to get the bonus, and then I'll either downgrade that card to one that doesn't have an annual fee, or I'll just cancel the card altogether and pretty much end up never paying a fee on that card. Some have a fee that you can't get around, and if it does, then you just want to make sure that the bonus far outweighs the amount that you're paying in that fee. And that almost always is the case for the first year. There are only a couple cards that I've ever kept past the first year if they have an annual fee, and that's only if they have some kind of bonus or perk that makes it worth it. And the two that I keep are an Ihg card, which is a hotel card that gives a free night each year. I think it's got a $65 fee or something like that, maybe $75. But that free night each year is well worth that fee to me. And the other one is a Ihg card, same situations, like a $95 annual fee, but you get a free night every year. And the hotel night that I usually redeem for is worth well over $95. Besides that, I think for most people, canceling a card with an annual fee after the first year so you don't have to pay that is probably the best choice. I think it makes the most sense.
And I think a question that often comes up here too about your credit score is if you are opening and then closing a lot of accounts, does that affect your credit score poorly if you're closing all these accounts because they have annual fees?
So when you close an account, that's not going to impact anything except your utilization ratio, like I was talking about earlier. So for example, let's say you had a card that had a $10,000 credit limit and you're using 0% of that. If you close that card, then that $10,000 of available credit goes away. That's not going to be any impact unless you have other cards that have higher balances that makes the utilization ratio higher. So in terms of credit scores, usually anything less than 20% utilization ratio is good. Anything over that starts to hurt your credit score. And one way to avoid that completely is to just pay the credit card before the statement balances or the statement date posts. So before the balance is even due, if you pay it, then that reduces your utilization ratio. But that's the only way that closing a card will usually hurt you.
Yeah, and then like Jared also talked about your credit history. So like his, obviously we're relatively young, so his length of history, he does still have a card that he got when he was 18, but I never started with credit cards until I was about 23 or maybe even 25. So what we also try to do is try never to cancel the very first card you got. Hopefully you got a card back in the very beginning that didn't have an annual fee that you could just keep open forever. So that way your length of credit history is really as long as possible. Yeah,
that's a good point. So cards without annual fees, like I said, if it has an annual fee, I don't usually see much point in keeping it. If it doesn't have an annual fee, I just keep it open indefinitely. If the credit card company, after a couple years of inactivity, closes it, then it doesn't really matter to me. But I'll keep those cards open. And the ones that I have that are very old, like I got one when I was 18, 19, I keep those cards and I use them regularly so that they don't get closed to keep that length of credit history.
Yeah, so those are a couple little strategies there. All right, let's get into the real meat and potatoes. So what we need to talk about here, as Jared alluded to earlier, is how we earn so many points, such a large volume of points. So what we want to talk about today is sign-up bonuses. And this differs a lot from the way that a lot of people have traditionally used credit cards, because a lot of people just only ever have one, maybe two credit cards in their wallet, and they sign up for ones that they are going to get cashback rewards on every purchase every month over time. These are every time you use it at Amazon, you get this % back, or every time you use it at gas stations, you get this % back. Nothing wrong with those cards. However, these, what I've learned from Jared and he's taught me over the years, is you're not going to get the most bang for your buck with these everyday use cards that you've had in your wallet for years. You get the most bang for your buck when you initially sign up for a card that has a good sign up offer.
Yeah, so normally those cards that when you spend on everyday purchases, you might get 1 or 2 points per dollar spent, points or miles. Whereas a sign-up bonus, let's use, for example, the Chase Sapphire Preferred card right now. It's a really good offer, the best offer they've ever had right now, and it's going to last for about a month. 80,000 points is the sign-up bonus. So if you were just doing, everyday spend on that card, it would take $40,000 or $40,000 to $80,000 in spending to get that same amount of points that you can get as the sign-up bonus for spending $4,000 in the first 3 months. So the sign-up bonuses are massive, and that's where you get pretty much all the value. You do get a small amount from everyday spending, but really the focus should be sign-up bonuses if you're trying to accumulate as many points and miles as possible.
And this is where Jared got into this strategy that they call credit card churning or credit card hacking. So he's not the only one. Obviously, he learned about it on the internet from somebody else. So if you go and Google credit card churning or credit card hacking, you're going to learn about this too. Basically, the reason why he's signed up for 50 plus cards is he's getting a huge amount of points from the initial sign up bonus on that card. And then once he meets that offer, that sign up offer, he puts that one to the side and gets another one and then signs up for that one to get that offer. And then he puts it to the side, which is why we have wallets full of cards that we'll never use again. Maybe, just depending on the card, but most of them we don't use again after we get the sign up offer because we want to go ahead and get the next sign up offer and the next sign up offer. And the way we've done this over the years is, especially in 2015, 2016, when we first started this, we were just churning and doing this over and over again and just racking up those points in our accounts. So we have points just sitting there for a long time that we hadn't even used yet, and we saved them up to be able to take these big trips.
So now what you should be wondering is, why would a credit card company give you all these points and free travel and stuff? I mean, what's in it for them? The answer there is, this is exactly what credit card companies don't want you to do. I know that sounds pretty gimmicky. That's what all the infomercials say, but that is true. They don't want you to sign up for a card, take advantage of the bonus, and then stop using a card. So ideally, they offer these sign-up bonuses as an incentive to get you to sign up for the card, hoping that you carry a balance and pay those high interest amounts. So credit cards nowadays, sometimes the interest rate will be 20 to 25% if you carry a balance from month to month. That's how they make all the money. If you pay your statement balance every month, you get the sign-up bonus and you stop using the card, they lose a lot of money on you. So you're the kind of person, or we're the kind of people, that they don't want signing up for the cards. But that's why they give those offers out, those big sign-up offers, is to try to encourage new customers to join. They know that a customer can be very valuable. The average person pays a lot in interest. But if you can avoid the interest, get the sign-up bonus, stop using the card, cancel before the annual fee, you really can make a lot of money off of the credit card companies.
Yeah, so don't be that person that's paying interest to the credit card companies. Hopefully if you're watching this video, you're that person who wants to kind of game the system like we have and like thousands of other people have. Use these sign-up offers to your advantage to make money, not to be losing money in interest. So we'll talk about some of the strategies and the ways that we've been able to go about that. And there's some insider tips here because there's a little bit more to it. There's certain cards that have certain rules. There's certain companies that have caught on to some of this, and they try to put rules into place that don't let you do this.
Yeah, so like I said, when I signed up for all those cards back in 2015, I don't think that would be possible anymore. And the reason I'm saying that is because all of the card issuers over the time are getting more and more strict on who they approve. And the reason for that is there are thousands of people like me and Whitney that take advantage of these things and get a lot of free travel, and they don't make any money off of us. So they're all trying to figure out a way to separate people that are going to take advantage of these offers from people that aren't going to and are going to actually basically make money for the company. And the way that they're doing this, a lot of them, is they're putting limits on the number of cards that you can get approved for in a certain period of time. So from their perspective, if you're signing up for a lot of cards in a row in a short period of time, chances are you're not their ideal customer. You're probably someone that's taking advantage of the sign-up bonuses and moving on to the next one. So they don't want to give you cards and give you free money. Whereas if you're someone that maybe signs up for a card once, you get a bonus, but then you keep using that card for 5 or 6 years and you pay them interest, that's who they want. So they're putting rules in place to try to keep people from doing this. So it's not like 5 years ago when it was a lot easier. You can still take advantage of it, but you can't can't really do what we did in the beginning.
Yeah, so we want to get into talking about that a little bit more, some ways that you guys can strategize and take advantage of this to earn free travel. Before we get into that, if you guys are watching this live, we'd love if you'd hit the thumbs up button. If you are learning anything, if you're getting any value out of this video, we really appreciate your support. We'd also love if you'd comment and say hi and just let us know who you are and why this is, valuable information to you. We'd love to hear from you in the comments.
Yeah, if you have any questions, let us know, and let us know what your experience with credit card rewards are, or credit cards in general.
Yeah, and we do go back later. If you're not watching this live, some of you guys might be watching later on the replay on Facebook, on our YouTube channel, or listening to it on our podcast. Still feel free to leave comments and ask questions. We will go back and answer your questions later. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the rules. In particular, one of the companies, Chase, is a big credit card company, and they've put some rules in place to try to limit the number of cards that you can get so you can, not game the system as much.
Yeah, so probably around 2017 or so, Chase implemented a new rule, and the reason this is a big deal is Chase usually has some of the best sign-up offers. They have a ton of credit cards. I bet you Chase probably offers a total of, I would bet, at least 12 credit cards, but maybe more than that. But they put a rule in place that they will not approve you for a new credit card if you've gotten 5 new cards in the last 24 months of any issuer. So not just Chase cards, but say you signed up for 3 American Express cards, 2 Citi cards. They won't approve you for a Chase card if that was within the last 24 months. So that's called the 524 rule. You're automatically declined for any cards you sign up for if you've had more than 5 new cards in the last 24 months. And that's a big deal. That means that you need to take advantage of Chase card offers early on if you're going to try to get a bunch of miles and points in a short period of time, because once you get past 5, you can't get approved for anymore. So I think for most people, it's a good idea to start with Chase cards and start with their bonuses.
Yeah, we really had to change up our game when this happened, because we had been signing up for so many, and then some good Chase offers were coming around, and we were like, we've had like 20 new cards in the last 24 months.
Yeah, there was a point where I had like 32 new cards in the last 24 months.
So we had no chance. We couldn't get approved for these Chase cards. So we actually had to go on a hiatus from signing up for any new cards. And we had to go back and look and like keep track of how many we'd signed up for. And so I think there was a whole like maybe 12 to 16 months that you had to wait before you could get any new cards, because you needed to hit that mark.
I didn't have to, but I wanted to be eligible to get Chase cards again, so I did that. And that's a big reason why keeping track of everything, a spreadsheet, or even just like a Word document listing the terms of each card. So mine would usually say, say I signed up today for Chase Sapphire. The offer is 80,000 points after 4,000 in spending in 3 months. Just keeping track of just little things like that in the annual fee, so that you can look back and say, how many cards have I gotten in the last 24 months? Am I eligible to sign up for more after this? Some kind of basic record keeping is important.
Yeah, I'm not a spreadsheet person. I hate Excel, and so I went on Word and I made a table. It's the same thing as Excel, I like Word better. I made a very basic table that just had the date and which credit card I signed up for, and a little blurb about how much, the spending requirement too, because you want to make sure to keep track of your spending requirement. So if you have to spend $3,000 in the first 3 months to get the points, you want to make sure to do that. So then if you have to go back and look at your statements and say, gosh, what day of the month was it? Was it, March the 3rd that I signed up for this card? That means I have 3 months from March the 3rd to spend that amount of money. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we're able to meet the spending, but you want to make sure you're meeting the requirements, and then you want to have the date that you signed up for it in case it ever comes up that you're wondering about the 524 rule.
And just a little bit more to talk about the spending requirements, because we mentioned that a few times now. One way that the companies try to keep you from just getting a bonus, like they want you to sign up for the card, they want you to use the card. They don't want to just give you free points for signing up. So what they do for most cards is they'll say you get a certain number of points if you spend X amount in the first 3 months of having the card, so that you get used to using their card. So ideally, you start using the card, and then you get in the habit of using that for every purchase, and you just continue to use it, and that's how they make money off of you. So they want you to be in the habit of using their card. And normally that will be 3,000 in 3 months. That's pretty standard. You get 40,000 points or 50,000 points if you spend $3,000 in the first 3 months of having this new card.
Mm-hmm. So we've had a lot of people ask us, how are you able to meet all the spending requirements for all these cards that you're signing up for? So for a while there, we were getting a little crafty with it, but I would say in general, for most people, $3,000 in 3 months isn't unreasonable, but if you do find that you keep your expenses pretty low, one way that we do it, because we are a couple, is if one of us is having trouble meeting the sign-up bonus offer, the spending requirement, we combine forces, and so we'll just do all of our spending together on one of our cards. So if he's doing a sign-up offer and I'm not, he'll say, hey, no, use my card if you're going to go shopping. I pay him back sometimes. But, so I buy all the groceries. If I'm doing a sign-up offer, I buy all the gas, all that sort of thing. So combine forces if you are in a couple. If you're not, if you're a solo person and you say, hey, that's a lot of money. I don't have that many expenses. If you're only doing a couple a year, one other thing you could try to do would be to go and buy gift cards for things that you would spend on in the future. We wouldn't recommend buying just like a Visa, like cash gift card, because you have to pay a fee on those. But say that you know that you use Amazon a lot, or you know that you, would use a gift card to the grocery store or whatever it is. If you're really getting down to the wire at the end of that 3 months to spend the money, go to the grocery store and pull a couple gift cards off the rack and pay for the gift cards. And then once your 3-month deadline is up, start using your gift cards to use those up on Amazon or restaurants or whatever.
And that's another reason why it's very important to keep some basic record keeping of when you got a card, so you know when the deadline is for the spending. So, when you get a new card, you would put all of your expenses on that new card. So gas, groceries, utilities, Amazon, any utility, or let's see, sometimes utilities won't let you pay with cards. Sometimes they will. It depends. But things like for travelers, Airbnb, a lot of travelers use Airbnb. You can pay that with a credit card. So all of those things you can put on your credit card. And then what you would do is when you get, say, 5 days away from the deadline, if you haven't met the spending requirement, say it's $3,000 and you're at $2,600 or something like that, and you're like, there's no way I'm going to spend $400 in the next 5 days, then that's when you would do a gift card thing. So go get things like the primary ones for us: Amazon, grocery store, gas station. You know that you're going to use those things. I don't think there's ever been a time where we haven't spent a couple $1,000s each year on gas, groceries, and Amazon. So we get those, and basically the way I look at that is prepaying future expenses. So once we're finished with the spending, then we start using those gift cards up before we get a new card.
For some people, it might be kind of a hassle. You may not want to switch over for a card that you're only using to get the sign-up bonus. You might not want to switch over your bills and that sort of thing. But a great thing is if you have like a big lump sum payment you could pay. For example, if you could pay your auto insurance all in the 6-month premium instead of paying it monthly, and just go ahead and do that. We like to do that. So suddenly I'll be like, oh, we can pay my Geico bill, just pay the 6-month worth of premium all at once. That knocks out $300 or $400 in spending right away in a one-time swipe type thing. So those are some ideas for how to get your spending done. Yeah,
so we in the past have been in situations where we thought we wouldn't be able to do the spending, but it's really surprising how much you spend if you put everything on that card. A lot of people will think, I don't really spend that much, but if you put everything on there, including things like car insurance, health insurance if you pay that out of pocket, those things add up pretty quickly.
But if it's way exceeding your budget for those 3 months, you also want to make sure that you're able to still pay the balance, in those 3-month periods. So hopefully you have enough in savings to cover the balance for that 3-month period, and it's not putting your budget over the limit. But again, you have to tailor this to how it works best for you. Maybe it's not working well for you to do multiple sign-up offers because of all the spending limits, but maybe 1 or 2 a year works well for you in your case.
I think for most people, the sweet spot is going to be somewhere between 2 and 4 cards per year. So getting sign-up bonuses on those, I think that's enough for a pretty solid vacation in terms of like getting free flights, probably some hotel nights if you just sign up for those. And then that gives you plenty of time. So if you sign up for one, meet the bonus in 3 months, sign up for another one, meet the bonus in 3 months, and you just keep repeating that. I think that's pretty easy for most people to keep track of instead of signing up for multiple at a time like I was doing for a while. I just think it makes more sense to do it that way. And that way you don't have to worry so much about having so many new accounts open in a short period of time if you're just doing 2 to 4 per year.
Yeah. What about getting declined for cards? What advice can I give on that?
So I would say the first thing is before you sign up for a card, check with there's multiple different websites that will give reviews of cards and talk about things like credit score. Make sure that your credit score is in a range where you think you'll get approved for it. Make sure you're not missing anything like that 524 rule I was talking about where you're automatically going to get declined if you already have 5 new cards. But assuming that it's a card where you should have gotten approved based on your credit score, You're not missing any of their weird rules with new accounts open or anything like that and you get declined. It's always worth calling in and trying to get connected to a reconsideration line is what they call it. And you just tell them, like, I applied for this card. They'll ask for usually your social security number or something like that. They'll look at the card, and sometimes it's as simple as they just want to verify your income or verify your address or something like that, and they'll approve you right away. It's always worth calling in just to see if there's any way you can get approved. And usually I'll just call, look up the reconsideration number for the card, call them and say, hey, I applied for this card. Is there any way that I can get approved for it? And a lot of times it'll work. I mean, I think probably 75% of the time, if I got declined, I'll still get approved for that card. And that doesn't happen that often anyway.
One other little brief thought I had, just a tidbit of advice for you guys in terms of those that are travelers and you're out on contracts. Something we did run into is when we were doing all of this, especially signing up for a lot at once, sometimes we were away on travel assignments when we would sign up for cards. So unfortunately, because of fraud alerts and everything, you can't just designate for the most part where you want the card to go, because then somebody could just fraudulently sign up for a card and say, oh yeah, send it to my address at 123 Maple Street in Canada, whatever. So typically we always had to use our permanent residence for signing up for the offer, and then also that's where they mail the card to. So there's a few different strategies here. Depending on how you choose to get your mail at home, do you have somebody keep track of that for you? Do you just wait till you get back to your permanent residence to collect your mail? Sometimes you might want to have somebody that could check your mail for you and then package it all in an envelope and send it to you, because you want to start spending on that card right away so you can meet the sign-up offer even if you're not at home to receive it. There are some companies and some credit card offers that will allow you to get your card number before you actually get your card. So, because they're like, oh, you want to go ahead and start spending on our card right away. So a handful of times we have had that where it'll pop up and it'll say, get your card number now. So you could start going ahead and using it for online purchases like your Amazon account and that sort of thing. So if that's an option, we always try to do that when possible before we could actually get the physical card in our hands.
Yep. I guess something else we should talk about is the value of points and miles, like how much are they actually worth? That really depends on the card. So, for example, American Airlines miles are more valuable than something like Hilton Honors hotel points. And Chase Ultimate Reward points are more valuable than American Express membership reward points. So there are a variety of points that sometimes don't get enticed by. Sometimes they'll be like 140,000 point offers or 120,000 point offers that sound really awesome, but sometimes those are hotel chains where their points are not as valuable, and it really just depends. Sometimes the offers are great, sometimes they're not. There's no certain point value for all cards. They can be as low as like, say, 0.2 cent per point up to 2 cents per point. So there can be a massive variation in the value of points and miles.
And one way that Jared has been able to learn over time which ones are more valuable than others, there's a lot of bloggers out there that write about this kind of stuff. A website that he uses a lot to determine good offers when they're available is called the Doctor of Credit website. That's where he learns about a lot of good offers. And then what we're going to get into talking about now is over time, with everything that Jared's learned, all the offers that we've seen come and go over time, he has compiled a list on our website. He mentioned it earlier at traveltherapymentor.com/credit. traveltherapymentor.com/credit. If you go on there, we have a current list of offers that we think are really good. We, meaning Jared, thinks are really good based on all the offers that he's seen over time, the point values and all that. So we have kind of a cheat sheet for you there. We do plan to update this list over time, and we have it broken down into different categories. So depending on what you are looking for, what you're comfortable with starting. If you're a beginner, you're starting out, we would really recommend going with a couple of the top cards under the beginner section. They're just going to be your basic, simple cashback offers. And then if you're really wanting to get a little more savvy, if you know that you're looking for points for hotels, we have ones specific to hotels. If you're looking for ones for flights, we have ones specific to flights. If you really want to get savvy, there's some where he talked about you can transfer points from some of the Chase offers to other partners. And then that's where you need to maybe just do a little bit of digging and research of when it's a good idea to transfer them to certain partners and what you're going to get more value, because some of those points, if you just cash them out into cash, you're not getting as good of value for the points, I learned from all of Jared's research, as if you transfer them to a partner and use them for points for airlines or hotels.
Yeah, airlines are usually going to be the best value. So redeeming points or miles for flights usually going to be the best value. And second is usually hotel redemptions. And then third, just cashing it out for cash. So yeah, keep that in mind.
So it just gets a little more complicated. I would say specifically the ones I know off the top of my head are like your Chase Ultimate Rewards points or your American Express points. If you're transferring them to other partners, it gets a little complicated. But if you keep it simple, say that you fly on Southwest all the time and you get a Southwest card. Well, then if you want to go to book a Southwest flight with Southwest points, when you're on their website and you're searching for flights, so you type in, your travel dates, your beginning destination, your ending destination, you can change the way that they list the flights. And so rather than them showing you all of your flight options in cash, you can change it to show me my flight options in points. So then it's really straightforward. It's like, okay, I have this many points. The flight from, Dallas to Malibu costs this much, but the flight from Dallas to Austin costs this much. So then you're like, okay, I'd probably rather use my points for this flight, because this is a really good value that I'm getting. And I would compare too, if you're looking at the dollar cost versus how many points you can get it for. Because if you're like, wow, I can get this international flight that would only cost me $2,000 for only this many points, then I would much rather save my points and use it for that flight than use it for some domestic flight that I could get cheaper with just using cash.
Yeah. Another common question that people ask is, like, which airline has the best value, or which points are best for that, which miles are best? The answer there, it really depends on your home airport, and it depends on where you're flying to. If it's domestic and your home airport, if you have a Southwest hub anywhere near your house within driving distance, Southwest is usually very good for domestic and Caribbean, so those kind of flights. Whereas if you're flying internationally, we've gotten very good value from Delta and United. So it really depends on where you're going and what's near you. So that's why there's really no single answer for everyone. And we'll do our best to keep the list updated over time.
Yeah, and I think we're getting into a little bit of the nitty gritty on how to maximally optimize these points. I think in the beginning, when you're first getting started, you might just want to look at it like it's free. Free is free is free. I don't care if I get the most optimal value out of it. It's like I didn't have to pay cash for it. I just used these points in Pointland. And so that's great too. If you just want to start small, just you have your one hotel card and your one airline card, and you get just enough to get yourself one flight and like one free hotel night, and you're super happy with it. That's great because you didn't have to pay cash out of your pocket for it. You used points. But over time, as you get better with this, if you want to learn a little bit more about how to strategize and optimize, read some of Jared's articles, start following that website, Doctor of Credit, to just learn a little bit more over time. But a lot of people just want to get their foot in the door, just get their feet wet a little bit. So again, we're going to rank those cards based on kind of like the easiest ones just to get started on our website.
Yep. Right now, like I mentioned before, if you have a pretty decent credit score, if you've had some credit cards in the past, a really good offer right now is Chase Sapphire Preferred. That offer is only going to last, I guess, it's supposed to only last for another month. And this is the best offer they've had. I signed up for it a few months ago and got a lower offer, so did Whitney.
That's a bummer.
But if you're able to, that is a really good card to start with. That card, a big benefit is that it's those transferable points that Whitney was talking about. So you can transfer those points to various partners. And 3 of those partners, which I think are the best ones to transfer to, are United, Southwest, and Hyatt. And of those 3, you can almost always get pretty good value. So that 80,000 points, I would say if you cashed it in, it'd be worth $1,000. If you use it for airlines, depending on if you're flying domestic, international, business, first class, you can get, that could be worth up to $2,000 or $3,000. So that is probably a very good card to start with if you have a decent credit score and you can get approved for it.
Another thing in terms of optimization, sometimes when you sign up for hotel cards, they'll give you points, but other times when you sign up for hotel cards, they give you free nights. And what I've learned over time, which I thought was interesting, was sometimes the free nights will have a category of hotels. So some of the hotel chains will rank their properties in different categories. So like Hilton, for example, owns lower category hotels, just like Hampton Inn and your regular just roadside hotels. But they also own these really fancy hotels. Like what's one of the Hilton ones?
I think it's called Intercontinentals. They're like premium brands.
Oh, I think that's IHG. Is it Hilton?
No, I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Oh, no. Waldorf Astoria, I think, is Hilton, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's IHG. Anyway, you get the point. Some of their properties are just your regular run-of-the-mill hotels, and some of them are super fancy hotels. So when you get what's called just a free night, it doesn't have a point value. It'll just say in the fine print, you can use it at any of our tier 1 through 4 hotels or whatever. So what I've learned over time when we're trying to go in and redeem those free nights, I'll be like, oh, look, we could use it, on our road trip in Dallas or whatever. But he's like, yeah, but that, hotel in Dallas is only a tier 1 or 2. We should save that for our trip to, the Bahamas or wherever, where we could use it at the highest tier possible, because it's the same. It's one free night, but you could use it at a lower tier or a higher tier. So you want to get your most bang for your buck and use it at a higher tier. Whereas, like, if you have points, it'll assign a specific value to, like, a tier 1 might only be 6,000 points to get that one hotel night, because normally that hotel only costs $175 a night, whereas like the tier 4 hotels might cost you 40,000 points because it normally costs $500. So those are some different ways to think about strategizing using hotel points.
Yeah, one other thing to mention, probably the last thing to mention, is there are different philosophies on how to use points, which this is definitely kind of getting more into the weeds. But some people will save up points and use them for like first class flights and 5-star hotels and that kind of thing. And obviously that's going to cost more points. We are on the other end where we try to use ours for the cheapest flights possible and the cheapest hotel stays as possible, so that we have more of them, so that we're able to spread it out more. So it depends on you and how you like to travel. Sometimes it is nice to, have a business or first class flight and stay at a 5-star hotel, but just keep in mind that your points are not going to go as far if you do that. Mm-hmm. Whereas, for example, we signed up for a card last year before we went to Europe that gave us 140, or it might have been 150,000 Hilton points. We use those points at 10,000 point per night hotel chains, I guess. So we got 5 free nights, or I guess we got basically 15 free nights from those points. Whereas if we had used those at some higher tier places, it might have been 1 or 2 nights. Mm-hmm. So we prefer to go with the budget, get as many nights as possible, versus the upper class, only a couple nights with the points.
Yeah, that was super awesome, because we were in Eastern Europe where some of their, like, what I considered pretty nice hotels, especially compared to Airbnbs, like they were plenty nice for us. They had a really nice room, really nice bathroom, desk, everything that we needed for 10,000 points a night. And we were able to get, like, overall, between the total of both of our points, I think we stayed 25 free nights using just those Hilton points. So it was crazy that we could spread that out over so many rather than just staying at like one 5-star hotel for one night.
So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. I know some of you guys are still tuning in with us live. We'd love to hear from you. If you are watching later, also feel free to leave a comment. Also feel free to send us a message, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. Just one last note, on this website where we created a new page at traveltherapymentor.com/credit, Jared took time to list out all the different credit cards. He classified them based on what you're looking for. He talked about the pros and cons. He did put links in there, and the links to the majority of them are referral links.
Because these are cards that we have. Mm-hmm. I only put cards that I thought were good offers, but if it's a card that I have and I have a referral link for it, I put it on there. So not all of them are referral links, but if you sign up for any on there, please use the link. It might be a referral link and we might get a bonus from it, and you'll still get the same offer. Yeah,
so we really appreciate, in order to support our site and all the research that Jared does and all the time that we put into this, like Jared said, you get the same exact offer, whether you just type in chase.com and say, oh, Jared said the Sapphire card was good, I'm going to sign up for the Sapphire card. You'll still get the 80,000 points if you go to chase.com and click on their offer, as if you go through our link and click on it. It's just that Jared will also get a bonus in addition to you getting your bonus. So it's just a win-win both ways. So we would really appreciate your support if you do decide to sign up for any of the cards that we recommend, if you would use our referral link.
Yep. So check out traveltherapymentor.com/credit. Feel free to send us any messages or questions that you have, and we'll try to answer as best we can.
Yeah. I really hope this information has been helpful to you guys. I hope that it helps to demystify and break down some of the barriers for you getting started with this, because back when Jared started telling me about all this, it sounded really overwhelming. It sounded like I was just going to get myself into debt and get myself into trouble, but it has been completely the opposite. I've never paid a bit of interest, no late fees, nothing. It's not that hard. We've been able to take so much advantage of this and travel so cheaply and for free in a lot of cases. And it's really changed the way that we travel and the amount of vacations we're able to take because we're utilizing this. And I really think that you guys watching this can make this work for your life too, whether it's just getting a little bit of cash back on your groceries and your gas every week, or whether you're able to cash in and get a few free flights and free hotels here and there. I think you can really take advantage of it too.
Yep. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.